Developed by Reflections Interactive, the masterminds behind the Driver series, and published by Infogrames, the game was first announced by Reflections on May 1st, 2001. Stuntman was then released June 25th, 2002 for the PlayStation 2. This meant the game only spent 14 months in development before being released. Pretty crazy based on today's standards where the games can take over a decade. I'm looking at you, GTA 6. The game was given to us fans to whet our appetite while we waited for the next Driver game, Driver 3, which released in 2004. Stuntman wasn't just about racing, it was about recreating the magic and the mayhem of an action cinema. The core concept of Stuntman was brilliantly simple. You're just a rookie stunt driver trying to make a name for yourself in Hollywood. Forget carefully navigating streets. Your mission involved pulling off death-defying feats for big-budget films. Think explosions, jumps, crashes, and all the over-the-top action you'd expect from a blockbuster. However, what set Stuntman apart was its unique blend of driving gameplay and action sequences. It wasn't enough just to reach the finish line, you had to perform specific stunts with a tight time frame and adhere to the director's instructions. As the game progressed, things would increasingly get more and more difficult, and your number of failed stunts would be narrowed down to only 1 or 2 allowed for the entire level. The director's instructions would pop up as icons while driving. They ranged from hitting specific markers, weaving between obstacles at high speeds, or getting close to explosions, and more. This did add a layer of kind of puzzle solving to the high-octane action, and it tested the patience of the player every step of the way. Imagine being told to get close and overtake a vehicle while a semi-truck was coming at you head on. If this wasn't done on time or correctly, it would end the entire run, and then it's time to try again. Or how about this? Being told by the director to squeeze between 2 semi-trucks at high speed while speeding around a corner at full throttle. All of this needs to be done while you're also being told to simultaneously hit designated checkpoints and avoid falling debris or crashing through buildings. That is Stuntman in a nutshell. The physics engine used in the Driver series has been improved. It took steps forward to better all the aspects of the engine this time around. Cars felt weighty and responsive, and crashes could be devastating and destructive. This realism heightened the tension and made each successful stunt feel genuinely rewarding. Messing up on a stunt wasn't just a matter of restarting though. It could send you into a fit of gamer rage after the 100th time of trying the same stunt over and over. Now that being said, the hook that Stuntman creates couldn't be more addictive. Not many driving games had this good of a video game hook in my opinion. Inching your way through the stunts as the director dishes them out really gives you a feeling of accomplishment even if you only get one more stunt done that run. Even though you didn't complete the level, you knew you were doing better each time you got further down the line of the stunts needed to be completed for the scene. Man, it was an addictive hook. No matter how mad I would get, the game was always telling me I was doing better and I knew I could finish it. The game's missions were cleverly themed around different movie genres, from spy thrillers and action flicks to disaster movies. The game takes a tongue-in-cheek approach to these movies that inspired it, clearly making knockoffs of James Bond, Fast and the Furious, Snatch, Indiana Jones, and even the Dukes of Hazzard TV series. Even being cheesy knockoffs, they still added a level of entertainment value to the game. This variety kept the gameplay fresh and prevented it from becoming bland or too repetitive, seeing the same thing over and over. One minute you'd be escaping a pursuing helicopter in a high-speed chase, the next you'd be performing a daring jump through a chimney smokestack in a classic muscle car. At the end of each movie you completed, you'd get to see yourself performing all the stunts in a trailer made specifically from all your hard work. This had to be one of the coolest things for the time if you ask me. It was a huge payoff, and I loved it. Being able to see yourself do all those stunts, and just love the reward you got from it. A pretty cool trailer all put together just for you. Now in between doing the movies for Hollywood, you would take odd jobs here and there just for money, you know? Like a stuntman does. Which allowed for a nice change of gameplay, between movies. You might be tasked with stunt jumping over buses, or driving tandem with other stunt drivers, or my least favorite and most frustrating one, monster truck driving. Now, this was meant to be an easier thing to kind of cleanse the palate of the gamer, but for me, the monster truck level, it just needed to be deleted. It was an absolute nightmare. Maybe not as bad as driving the tuk-tuks in Blood Oath, but a very close second. But Stuntman wasn't without its flaws. The difficulty is notoriously brutal. The physics engine, as good as it was, still had a fair amount of problems when it came to making jumps and landing them, especially in certain cars that were prone to roll. I'm looking at you, tuk-tuk. Some late game stunts that upped the difficulty definitely caused me to see some new physics-based hiccups. Definitely sets you back when it comes to your gameplay progress. Repeating missions when the player screws up is fine, but when it's the game's fault, that's pretty hard to swallow. This definitely happened far too often in the late game. On top of the tight time limits, precise instructions often led to frustration. Many players found the learning curve steep, and mastering the controls took considerable practice. The high difficulty, while challenging, likely contributed to some of the mixed reviews the game received upon release. However, considering Souls games are all the rage right now, this could make a huge new impact in the driving/racing game genre. I mean, I would love to see a comeback for these harder driving games in 2025. I mean, a tagline, live, drive, repeat? Or maybe we call them driver likes. What do you think? Despite its difficulty, Stuntman had other modes as well. You had options where you could do speed running, just additional races, or just pick out something and just have a good time with it. But the biggest and best one, that was the Stunt Constructor. As you play the single player game and complete levels, you unlock more and more items and cars to use in the Stunt Constructor. Now this allowed you to build and set up all kinds of stunts. You did it inside of a stadium, you could just go crazy with your imagination. From flame rings to ramps and all the way to loop-de-loops, it felt like the sky was the limit in this game in 2002. I personally spent hours building and running these over and over, just making new stunts with my friends and just getting crazier and crazier each time. It was a true blast. Hours of fun were spent playing with this editor constantly, just trying to one-up each other and just have a great time. The feature also added a ton of replay value to the game, as you can imagine. Now, not to mention that it made for a great way to stay in the game, yet take a break from the torture that the game's dishing out to you on a regular basis. So what is the legacy of Stuntman? Stuntman is a testament to Reflections and Infogram's creativity and their ability to craft something engaging and challenging with a fun gameplay hook. While not a commercial blockbuster, it did garner quite the cult following and is fondly remembered for its innovative gameplay, realistic physics, and a unique concept. Frankly, it was a game that dared to do something different and pushed the boundaries of what was possible in the action genre. We could definitely use more of this from the game companies these days. So what are your memories of Stuntman? Did you conquer the challenging stunts, or did you find yourself crashing and burning? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more of my gaming retrospectives. Until next time, grab a controller and play it loud.